Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know who I am, my name is Millie and I run a little side business called Blink Lettering where I post lots and lots of lettering videos on my Instagram channel, and I also sell foiled prints, gifts and cards over on my Etsy, so be sure to check both of those out. I'll leave links below in the description somewhere. Today I wanted to do a little quick tutorial on how to use embossing powders. Embossing powders were something I discovered when I first started lettering and I absolutely love them. They're just fun to play with and they can create something a little bit extra special with your lettering. So firstly, I will just let you know all the tools that I'll be using today. So for embossing your lettering, you do need a special embossing pen, and here I have the Ranger Emboss It pens. I've got it in black and clear. Normally I do use the clear because I feel like it doesn't show the ink through when you're using your powder. However, I thought the black would be easier to show you what I'm doing in this video. And these are both bullet pens, so the nibs aren't flexible at all. And the same for the black one. Ranger do also have a brush pen, which I have here. This is in clear as well. And this is the Ranger Brush Perfect Medium pen. As you can see, it's got a flexible nib. Now, I do find that this dries out quite quickly, which is why I'm not going to be using it in today's video. Now, on to the next step is embossing powders. So I've got 3 different embossing powders here today. The first one is the Do Crafts Paper Mania embossing powder in super fine silver. So this just means that the powder's extra fine compared to normal embossing powders, and I think I got this from Hobbycraft. I'll make sure to leave a link in the description below wherever you can get any of these. Then I have 2 Ranger embossing powders. This one is Black Sparkle. So as you can see, it's mainly black, but there's like beautiful rainbow sparkles in it, which is so pretty. And then this is the holographic one, which I was super excited about when I got it in the post. I thought it would make some really cute, like white holographic styling with the embossing. However, it doesn't turn out exactly how I thought it would, but I will show you it today on how I've used it and have it as part of this tutorial. And then we have the heat gun. So this is the Do Crafts Paper Mania heat gun. It's basically a glorified hairdryer. However, I don't think you can actually use a hairdryer for embossing. I don't think it would work very well. This, although it does blow, it's a light amount of air that comes out, but it's very hot. It plugs into the socket and then there's just an on-off button here, and it's pretty noisy. So this is what I use to melt the embossing powders, but I will go through each step more clearly as it comes along. And then finally, I'm just using some simple white and black card just to show you the different effects on light colour and dark colour. I'm going to start with the Ranger Emboss It pen in black, and I'll be using this smooth white card. And I think we're going to start with the Paper Mania embossing powder in superfine silver. And I'm just going to take you through each step as I do it. Now, this ink can dry relatively quickly, so if you're doing a really long phase, then I'd say emboss as you go along rather than write the whole thing out, because if the ink starts drying, then the powder isn't going to stick to your ink. So as you can see, it just looks like a normal pen, but now I'm going to sprinkle the embossing powder on. This stuff gets everywhere, so just be careful when you're using it. I just want to make sure the whole word is completely covered. It doesn't matter if there's loads of excess, because we are going to tip that off. Always pick it back on. I've spilled my embossing powder many times. So to tip it off, I'm going to tip it onto this piece of paper. And I've actually folded it, and this means that when I go to pour it back into the pot, it just has a little funnel to go down. So I'm just lightly tapping it just to get the excess off. Here we have our embossed word, but it's not quite embossed yet. We do need to heat it up, but it's now got the powder on. As you can probably see, there's a little bit of excess powder here. So I'm just going to go in with a small paintbrush. This one's a bit wonky from where I've dried it. But I'm just going to go in very gently and brush the powder away. The reason I'm doing this is any excess powder you have around the word, when it gets heated up, that powder is also going to melt. So you're going to have some quite strange speckles around your word, which might be the look you're going for, but in certain cases it's probably not. There are several ways you can prevent the powder coming into contact with the paper like this. Oh no. And that's where you need to be careful, because I've just hit the word a little bit. So I'm going to try and just brush some of this powder over. Just going to sprinkle a little bit more on. So if you knock any powder off the word, you can just sprinkle a little bit more on and then tap it off again. Oh, and be careful where you're putting a piece of paper. Now here comes the fun bit. We're going to heat this up, and when I heat it up, you're going to see how the powders melt and react with the heat, and it will start to look really pretty. So as you can see, it's now embossed, and the silver's turned a really lovely reflective silver, and it's created a kind of 3D effect on the paper as well. The heat does warp the paper a little bit, so it is good to use like a thick paper, and when it's still warm, just kind of smooth the paper out. As you can see, it's created a lovely embossed effect. Now because I'm using bullet tips, it does mean that I don't have the nice calligraphy effect going on with the thick and thin lines. So I'll just quickly show you now what it looks like with some faux calligraphy. I'm not going to go too much into how I'm doing my faux calligraphy, as that's a different video that I'd love to bring out in the future, but I will just quickly write something for you now. So as you can see, I've just done some thick and thin lines with my embossing pen, and this time I'm going to be using the black sparkle from Ranger. Again, I'm just covering the whole word. You can be super generous. You can pour the whole pot on if you want, but that might be a little bit excessive. Look how pretty that is. So I'm just going over and removing a lot of the excess powder. There's a few techniques you can do to stop these little flecks from sticking to your paper. So you can actually get some anti-static powder. I've never personally used it before, but I've seen other people use it and it's worked very well. Or you can even just rub a microfiber cloth over your paper. I don't tend to use either of those much, but I think it's because a lot of the time I'm embossing, I'm just kind of doing it for fun, like a nice little Instagram video. However, if I was doing it for something like greetings cards or notebooks, then it's definitely something I'd want to perfect a little bit more and make sure there wasn't any excess powder. So I'm just going to heat this one up again. When you're heating, you just want to make sure that as soon as you see the state of the powder change to a more solid, to move on with the heat and go across the word, just because you don't want to end up burning any of the powders. So this is the black sparkle, which is so pretty. It's just a simple black colour, but it's got loads of multicoloured sparkles in, which, oh yeah, you can see there. Look how pretty it is. Kind of matches my nails. Okay, so that's the basic steps for embossing. You can obviously get quite creative with it. I'm going to show you what it's like on black paper now, and I think I'm going to use the clear pen for this because I think it'll be able to show up. I'll just show you what the clear pen looks like on white. As you can see, you can kind of see it on camera actually. It's kind of wet the paper in a way, and this just means that if you did knock any powder, you're not going to show some ink underneath, whereas you can kind of see on some of the silver, there's like a black edging around it and any spots that have been missed. So that's why the clear one's quite good, but it does make it quite hard to see what you're doing, especially if you're doing things like photography and you're writing a word and then going back into it. Now I've got some black card, and I just want to show you what it looks like using the Ranger Embossing pen in clear. And I'm just going to write something, and then I'm going to use this Ranger embossing powder in holographic, and I'll show you what that looks like. So you can kind of see the ink in clear, and I'm quickly going to tip this on because I always feel the clear ink seems to dry a bit quicker than the black. As you can see with this, even though the powder was white, it's actually a clear powder, and what it's done is left all the beautiful colours shining through. But where all the clear powder is, you can just see the paper colour instead. So if you were to do this on white, then it would show like a shiny white embossed effect with all of these sparkles on top. And this one is actually quite like spiky, I guess is the way to say it. Like you can feel the glittery bits in this, whereas the other two I use, they're a lot smoother when you heat it up. I absolutely love these colours. Like, how pretty are they? While we're at it, I just thought I'd show you some of the silver one onto the black card as well. And I'm going to use the black pen so you can just see the difference in terms of using black on the card. Again, you can't really see the black on the black card like the clear one, but I can kind of see it. You can see it in the light reflecting, like that's really clear there. So I've actually done a little phrase here, and I thought it would be good to show it to you like this, because rather than do the whole thing at one time, I've actually done this one first and then this one, and this just stops the ink from drying too quickly before you put the powder on, but it also means that I can use two different colours of powder and they don't mix. I hope you really enjoyed this super quick tutorial on how to do embossing, and you can see the different kind of effects that you can create with dark paper and light paper and the different kind of embossing powders. It does require a bit of specialist equipment, such as this heat gun and the pens and the powders, but all of them are actually quite cheap, and once you've got the gun and the pens, you will be addicted to it and you'll realise that there's so many different embossing powders out there. I just have these three at the moment, but there's other colours that I'd love to get my hands on. I just need to control my addiction for all of my stationery first, because this room is getting very full. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. If you'd love to see any more videos from me in the future, then make sure you hit that red subscribe button, and I will see you next time. Bye.